The 2026 College Football National Championship game is set, and we have a really fun matchup between two of the best teams in the entire country. The number one seeded, undefeated Indiana Hoosiers head to Miami to take on the Miami Hurricanes, who have had an incredible playoff run. And I'm really excited to break down this matchup, talk about both teams, and ultimately who I believe will be crowned as the national champions. But before we do that, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as it really helps me out and helps get this video out to more fans like yourselves. And be sure to comment down below, who do you guys think is going to win the national championship? But let's start with the Indiana Hoosiers, because this is an Indiana team that we have talked about it all season long. They are the best team in college football. They were the only undefeated team in the regular season, and through two playoff games so far, have been completely and utterly dominant, winning 38-3 against Alabama. And then they also absolutely dominated the Oregon Ducks, team that is just playing just flat out incredible football on both sides of the field. We know how good that this offense is when you have the Heisman Trophy winner and Fernando-Mendoza, who has been incredible over the last two games with ball placement and accuracy and decision making. He is a quarterback that is playing with such great timing and confidence with his receivers, and they are passing the ball and distributing it to all of their weapons at a very effective rate. Charlie Becker, Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt, Riley Nowakowski, all of these guys have been getting involved in this Indiana offense throughout the entire playoff run, and they've been really effective. I think all three of their weapons can step up in different ways for them. You've got Surratt, who is more of that post type of receiver, your contested catch guy. Cooper's making plays out of the slot. And then you got Becker, who's their best vertical threat. All three of these guys are hugely important to what they are able to do. And on the other end, they're able to run the ball really, really well with a great two-headed attack of Roman Hemby and Kalen Black, both guys that have had incredible seasons for the Hoosiers, and they've carried that into the playoffs. I think both of them are running the ball effectively. They are playing good football. But the main story here with this Indiana team, I don't think has anything to do with the offense. Yes, the offensive line is playing well, and the way they're able to run the ball really starts with Pat Coogan and the way he's able to displace guys in the run game. All of that is good and well, but this Indiana defense is so talented that I think we look at Mendoza being the Heisman Trophy winner. I don't think enough people give this defense the credit that it deserves, because at all three levels, they have guys that have been hugely impactful. Whether that be on the interior, guys like Tyreek Tucker, who's playing incredible football. Their linebacker plays with Aiden Fisher and Isaiah Jones and Elijah Hardy. All of those guys are playing well. And then they've got so many players on the back end. This is a defense that is able to disguise really well. They're able to bring different loops and stunts, and they're able to create pressure in a lot of different ways that I'm really excited to see what they look like against this Miami team that, let's face it, Miami's offensive line has been one of the best in the country really all season long. A lot of the attention goes to Francisco Mauigoa, but all five of their starters, I think, are going to potentially play in the NFL. Brockermeyer at center has had a decent season. They've gotten good play from Markel Bell, particularly in pass pro. Inez Cooper. This is a tough offensive line for this Indiana defense to face, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest tests of this game. But going to the Miami side of things, this is a Miami team that they were the last team that was allowed in the playoffs, and they're playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder, and it really shows, particularly in the trenches. We talked about how good their offensive line has been. I think Mauigoa is playing himself into a top 10 pick, but on the defensive line, Miami has been absolutely menacing. Yes, we know they've got one of the best pass rushing duos in the country with Bain and Mesidor, but it goes further than that. They are getting really good play from their interior players, whether that be Ahmad Moten, who's had a really strong season down the stretch, whether that be David Blay, play from their interior guys. Justin Scott is playing well for them. They are physical, and they've done a really good job at stopping the run. Kejuan Lacey had one really big run play against this Miami front. Other than that, they really kept him in check this entire game. And against this Indiana offensive line, which I think is good, I think this is going to be a really interesting battle between both the offensive and defensive lines. On the Miami offensive side of things, however, there's a lot working in this Miami offense favor. Yes, the line is protecting, but I think Mark Fletcher has quietly been the MVP of the playoffs for Miami. The way he's running the ball these last 3 games have been nothing short of remarkable. Ran for 125 yards against Ole Miss, ran for 90 yards against Ohio State, and 172 yards against Texas A&M. This is a guy that just puts his head down, is able to churn out extra yards, and this offensive line is able to also displace guys in the run game. They were gashing that Ole Miss defensive line, and they were able to run the ball right down the middle every single time. And then Carson Beck. Carson Beck is very interesting. He had a really good final drive against Ole Miss. There are things to really like about what he's able to do, and they're not asking a lot of him. This is a guy that has just 14 big-time throws this entire season, but he is making good decisions with the football. He is able to be accurate, almost an 80% adjusted completion rate. He's been able to get the ball out of his hands quickly, make good decisions, and the playmakers on the boundary for Miami are making plays. Malachitoney, we know how incredible that guy is, but CJ Daniels has had a pretty good run for this team. Shamar Brown, they've just got a lot of weapons. Keelan Marion, even as another guy. There's a lot to really love about this matchup, and I think it's going to give us these are the 2 teams that I think deserve to be in the national championship. Both of these teams play hard-nosed, physical football in the trenches. They're well coached, and it really starts with their defense. I think if we're basing it based off pure talent, Miami has the more talented roster. There's no doubt about it. They've got multiple guys that will go in the top 100 of the draft with guys like Keontae Scott and Bain and Mesidor. But this Indiana offensive line, while I don't think they're the most talented group in the world, they've done a really good job of eliminating pressure on Fernando Mendoza. And this is an offense that Indiana runs that makes it very easy for the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands quickly and puts him in really advantageous situations. On the other hand, I actually worry about Carson Beck under pressure. I don't think he has looked good. When he was flustered in the game against Ole Miss, I thought he made some bad decisions with the football, particularly on that last drive. I thought there were some bad moments. If he feels pressure, he is a guy that is going to get sacked on more than he should. An 18.1% pressure to sack rate this season. That worries me against an Indiana front that's so creative at being able to find guys to rush the passers. I think that's going to be a huge difference maker in this game. And if you can force Beck into making some bad decisions, it'll set up this Indiana offense really nicely. I'm not betting against this Indiana team. I'm not. I think Indiana is the best team in the country. And from what we have seen over the last 2 games, there's just nobody I think that could beat this Indiana team. Their defense is phenomenal. I think they are better coached. I think they've got the better quarterback. I think the weapons are both very, very good on each side, but the chemistry that the quarterback and receiver have in Indiana are fantastic. I think Indiana is going to win the 2026 college football playoffs and hoist the national championship trophy. I think this is a really special group that the Hoosiers have, and I ultimately think that this is a team that is going to win this game with a final score of 31-21, and I think the Hoosiers will be your national champions.